Hello and welcome to the Red Zone, viewers. You know, it's been over a year now since I first started uploading content to YouTube, and even though I tend to think of this project as sort of an ongoing thing, a continued learning experience, if you will, I also feel like in this first year I've learned quite a bit, and I thought maybe I could share that with you guys. Some of the biggest and potentially funniest things that stand out to me are that in Let's Plays, I learned that I'm actually not very good at the video games that I like to play so much. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still love to play them, but nowhere near as good as I thought I was. And that when I'm really focused in on beating a level, if someone talks to me, I give like these really sharp, really snappy responses, and they come off as really rude. It doesn't sound nice at all. So some personal things to work on there, but in terms of actual production and sort of overall just running a YouTube channel and trying to create content, I feel like I learned quite a few things, and I want to share those with you guys. So the first thing I wanted to make mention of was keep your expectations reasonable. When I started doing this, I really didn't think that I would get any subscribers or really any views whatsoever. So it was really awesome when it started happening, and of course I immediately started to have these like fantasies, these daydreams of becoming YouTube famous and like hitting it big overnight and getting paid to make content. And, you know, all that would be great if it happens, but don't go in expecting it. You know, there's no guarantee, of course. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But even if you don't make it big on YouTube, you can still have a lot of fun producing content and learn a lot of skills which might actually be, you know, enticing to potential employers. You never know, it could be really helpful, right? Also, try to be reasonable with your expectations of your equipment. You know, you can make a great video blog without much, with very little in fact, much less than I used to make this. But you also probably aren't going to be able to make the next big summer blockbuster with just your laptop's built-in webcam, microphone, and Windows Movie Maker. You know, it's probably not going to turn out the way you wanted it to. So, you just be reasonable with what you expect from your equipment. There are a lot of options out there too for very, very affordable equipment. Like I said, a lot of things come built into your laptop or to your PC right out of the box. So you can do a lot that way. There is also a lot that you could upgrade to. There are a lot of affordable sort of, you know, prosumer level options out there. But again, just be reasonable with how much you think you should be spending on what is essentially a hobby, right? Because again, there's no guarantee that you'll hit it big. The second thing I want to say is don't bite off more than you can chew. You know, start small. Which sounds hypocritical, but trust me, I learned this one the hard way. You should probably just start making a basic video blog with, like I said, you know, your built-in equipment. Start small, work your way up from there. Get familiar with new equipment or new software incrementally. Don't just sort of dive in. Now, luckily, all of my hardware was stuff that I had previously owned, but learning how to use it in a new manner, I was very unfamiliar with shooting video, and learning how to use a new video editor, I actually use NCH VideoPad, can be a lot all at once. You know, rather than running around trying to figure out how to use chroma key, how to properly set up lamps and backdrops, which I already had some experience with, you know, building a costume, all of this craziness, you know, designing graphics and logos and trying to find theme songs and music and all that stuff. What I really should have been focusing on was screen presence and pacing and setting up my audio properly and working on video quality. And these things are really more important, and I kind of regret not having spent more attention to these details earlier on in the series, because that's what really makes for strong content, right? And again, you can always add new, different techniques, new equipment, new software as you go. There's no need to rush in and have it all right at the beginning. So start small, don't bite off more than you can chew, because it does get distracting, and it will harm the overall quality of your content. And speaking of quality, don't rush your content. I know for me personally at least, it can be really enticing, the idea of being able to upload a certain quantity of content, but doing so can frequently hurt the quality of your content. Like, I made the mistake early on in the series of saying, look, you know, I'm going to upload this many live action videos on this schedule and this many Let's Play videos on this schedule, and at first it was fine, but it very, very quickly got to a point where, you know, I didn't have enough time. Creating content takes a lot of time and a lot of effort, and I would fall behind, and the only option I had to catch up was to either miss deadlines or to rush. Now, what I should have done was just made a video telling you guys, look, sorry I fell behind, content will be coming eventually, but instead I rushed out a couple things, and I really wish I hadn't done that. It's much better to just make content the best you can and post it when you can. Don't worry so much about sticking to arbitrary schedules. Don't box yourself in like that. It's not as helpful or as beneficial as you might think it would be to post, you know, X number of videos a week. As long as you're posting regularly and as long as you're putting time and effort into polishing the quality of your content, that's what really matters. Now, that said, it's great to spend lots of time working on improving the quality of your content, but it's also important to remember to maintain a reasonable work-life balance, because if you're doing this as a hobby, especially if you already have a full-time job, you can very easily run out of spare time. It's very, very easy when you're working on something that you care about, that you're passionate about, to sort of be consumed by it, to lose sight of all else and just pour all your time and energy into your video productions. And yeah, you know, that'll be great for your video productions, but you might not have much energy or time left over for friends or family or your employers, and they might not appreciate what you have left over for them. They might want you first and foremost, and they might want your hobby to be secondary. So just keep in mind that it's important to have balance. It's important to take time and step back and not constantly be working on your hobby, and save time not just for others but also just for yourself. I think you'll probably find that your content is better for it. I know that's what I've found anyways. It's also really important to remember that there's a difference between creating content which you think is good and which is content that you actually enjoy creating, content that you like. What's a good example? The Gamergate video that I did. You know, I sort of talked more about what I felt was the original impetus of Gamergate and the sort of ethics and ramifications of those, even though it probably would have been more popular to talk about what people thought Gamergate had become, or what it actually had become, or what it was turning into. I mean, that was a crazy scenario, and still is kind of a crazy scenario. And talking about those things which were more controversial probably would have made the video more popular, you know, get me more likes, more views, more shares, all of that stuff. And those things are, you know, good in a sense, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're making a good video. If it's not something you like, if it's not something that, you know, you feel you could be proud of, then I don't know. To me, it just doesn't really feel like it's worth it. I think you'll be much more satisfied, much more fulfilled with the work that you're doing if it's something that you actually like, that you actually enjoy, rather than just creating videos for the sake of getting views and comments and whatnot. And while we're speaking of comments, try not to worry so much about what people might comment on your videos. Yes, sometimes people will say things that you won't like, but, you know, in my experience at least, comments have been overwhelmingly supportive. I mean, even when they are critical, they're constructive criticism, and I see a lot of support from people and a lot of positivity. So don't believe all the hype you hear or read that all YouTube comments are just completely nasty and everyone's trolling. That's not true. Yes, for sure, bigger channels, more popular channels will see more of that, but they also see more of just everything, right? It's probably why a lot of bigger channels say they don't actually read their comments, because there's just so many of them. How could you? But when you're a smaller channel, don't be afraid of your comments. I've found that comments can be a great source of constructive criticism, of input, and of support. And sometimes people don't even leave in the comments. Sometimes people send private messages, and that's great too. It's really appreciated. I love when you guys do that. The more support and the more constructive criticism you can give me, the better the content can be. So I really appreciate that. And again, don't be afraid of comments. Don't worry. Just whatever people say, they'll say. This last point's really important. Remember to have fun. Just have fun making content, and do what comes naturally, and you'll probably find that your videos are better off for it. Just don't worry about like trends and what other people are doing in their videos. I mean, yes, you can take inspiration, but don't try to force yourself to be something you're not when you're on camera. Don't try to, come up with this phony, contrived persona and all that. I mean, which sounds silly for a guy dressed up in a crazy costume and whatnot, but honestly, this is sort of the stuff that I like. This is just who I am, as ridiculous and silly as that may be. And this is who I am. This is how I come across. This is largely how I speak in real life, too, although I happen to be a lot more positive and sort of more energetic on camera. I guess that's because I can feel that the camera's watching me. But don't try to force yourself to be something you're not. If when you step in front of the camera you're suddenly a happy, bubbly person, even though you're not in real life, that's fine. Just go with it. If when you step in front of the camera you're very stern and very serious, and that's just how you're comfortable in front of the camera, fine. Then that's your video persona. Just be who you are. Don't worry about it so much, because the more forced, the more phony, the more contrived it is, the less people are probably going to like it, and the less you're going to like it, the less you're going to enjoy creating content. And if you don't enjoy it, I mean, like I said earlier, guys, there's a lot of time and effort that goes into this stuff, so if you're not enjoying it, you're probably hating it. It's gonna be a pretty rough ride. So do what comes naturally, have fun, just go with it. Just go with it. So there you have it. Let's see if I can sum up all these points of what I've learned in my first year on YouTube. The first was, keep your expectations reasonable. And those are your expectations of both yourself, of YouTube, and of your equipment. Just keep yourself grounded. Don't let yourself have your head in the clouds too much, Second was, don't bite off more than you can chew. Start small. Don't worry about costumes and video effects and all that stuff right off the bat. Just focus on you and your screen presence and being on camera. Worry about your video and audio quality, stuff like that. That's really more important, to be honest with you. And in terms of quality, focus more on quality than quantity. Don't box yourself into an unreasonable or unmaintainable schedule. As long as you're uploading regularly, and so long as you're uploading high quality content, that's really more important than forcing yourself to pump it out all the time. Focus on making your content what you want it to be, not what people think is good or what you think people think is good. Just worry about making what you think is good, and guess what? It'll probably be good. I mean, at least it'll be what you like. Even if people say it's not good, don't worry about it. YouTube comments, they get a bad rap, but just take everything with a grain of salt, both the good and the bad, and you'll be just fine. People are going to say what they're going to say. Don't worry about it too much. And of course, the most important one was to remember to have fun. It's a lot of time and effort that goes into creating content, so it's a lot of time spent, and if you're going to spend a lot of time doing something, you might as well be having fun doing it, right? And a big part of that was just being natural. Just be yourself and go with it. However you are, and whoever you are. Don't worry about it. Which again, sounds crazy coming from someone in a dorky costume, but I'm a big dork, what can I say, So before I end this video, I just want to say a big thanks to everyone who's been with me, either from the beginning or just for a little while. I think I've had a really fun first year on YouTube. I've enjoyed creating content, and I really appreciate all the support that you guys have given me. It's one of the best ways that I know how and where to improve my content. A lot of you have given me some technical tips, and I really appreciate that, and I hope you'll stick with me in 2015. So that's it. That wraps up this video of what I learned in my first year on YouTube. I know a lot of these sort of tips might seem like things that I probably should have taken into consideration before making content, but to be honest, I dove straight in head first and just went right for it, and hopefully learn from my mistakes, and hopefully some of you can learn from my mistakes too. Let me know in the comments if you found any of these tips helpful, whether you are thinking of starting a YouTube channel or already have a YouTube channel, and let me know what you would add to the list. What did I miss? What other helpful tips and tricks are there out there? Leave it in the comments below. Don't forget to like and share this video with your friends, and in the meantime, stay in the zone.